Hello. Making sure I don't blow everybody's ears out. How is everybody doing tonight? I want you guys in the chat to spam out of 10 what you thought of this race. I apologize. I'm not probably going to be as loud and rambunctious as much, dealing with a bit of a sick issue. But we're all good. No sick days. No sick days in NASCAR. I'm seeing lots of 9s, lots of 8s, 7s, some 10s. Generally, it seems like you guys are very favorable when it comes to the 2025 Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix at COTA. I'm looking at the poll as well. This might be closing in on a record for highest voted poll as well, when it comes to a road course, at least. And I gotta say, I had a ton of fun as well. I think I'm kind of with you guys. I'll probably give it a 9. This is probably cup wise the most enjoyable time I've had as a fan watching. I thought that there were the obvious pitfalls that the next gen can have at the road courses, but it did feel like tires made a lot more of a difference. It felt like there was the ability for guys to go up and down through the field as well. It wasn't like you were just kind of gridlocked and stopped at different points the way you have been in the past. Obviously, there's always room for improvement, whichever way you swing on it. But personally, I like the race. I think the race itself, I'd probably give like a normal 7 or so. The finish itself was the fun part. We're going to dive into that in a moment, but first let's get into, and we'll talk about that, the super chat as well. But yeah, tire compound is pretty good. I give it 2 thumbs up. We will read the super chats at the end of talking about all of it, so I appreciate it. We will get to them, I promise. But let's talk about the 2025 Echo Park Automotive Grand Prix. It's so weird calling a NASCAR race a Grand Prix. I know it's been this way forever, but it's just weird for me still. This race was 95 laps long for 3 hours, 7 minutes, 18 seconds, 4 cautions for 15 laps and 20 lead changes on the day. Christopher Bell wins 2 in a row to get a W by about 4/10 of a second, roughly, over William Byron, about 6/10, little under, ahead of Tyler Reddick. Great run to the finish. In general, I thought that was a really fun finish. And you know what? All things considered, finish-wise, race control-wise, all of that, we didn't have a giant controversy at a finish. We can just talk about the finish itself, which is really nice. I've missed being able to talk about the finish and not have to follow it up with complaining. I had a lot of fun with it, but those top 3 were under a blanket towards the end. You did not know who was going to win until they exited the final corner, which is about as good as I think you can ask. I apologize again. My voice is going to be going in and out, so bear with me. I promise it'll be better through the week. Chase Elliott, man, has a hell of a rally. Up to the 4th position behind these guys. Great rally by Elliott. Fresh tires on top of just been chipping at it all day. And the driver of the number 9 just keeps digging and digs himself into a 4th place finish. Kyle Busch, 5th place. I know for a lot of Busch fans and a lot of people that want the sentimental favorite to win, I got an 8 hat on right here. I know a lot of you guys are probably upset with it, but Kyle Busch with a 5th place finish, and he doesn't deserve to be there because he should be higher, probably, based on how his race was run. That is a great sign of improvement for RCR. Great sign when it comes to the road courses in general. I mean, these RCR machines are not actually really that good. I think that was Kyle Busch just being a wheelman. SVG, the odds-on favorite coming in here this weekend, comes home 6th. Buescher, a quiet 7th, just doing what he does, man. Quietly finishing those top 10s, top 5s. You're definitely gonna have to see him up there a lot more this year, I have a feeling. Noah Gragson was running top 5 until the last lap. Finishes 8th today. Alex Bowman, a quiet but great 9th place finish. Todd Gilliland, top 10 finish for the Todd father on that one. Then Michael McDowell and Ross Chastain just outside of the top 10. Hocevar, Briscoe, and Brad Keselowski round out the top 15. 16th is Haley. Herbst with another 17th place finish. Then Stenhouse, Blaney, and Bubba Wallace, your top 20. Denny Hamlin finishes off a pretty crappy day with a mediocre 21st place finish. John Hunter Nemechek finishes 22nd. Then Cole Custer right behind him, I believe. Is it Custer? Let me double check. And yes, Cole Custer with a 23rd place finish on the night. After that, we got Logano, Cindric, Josh Berry, Eric Jones, Ty Dillon, Zane Smith, AJ Allmendinger, the top 30. 30th place finish for him. Forgive me, I did not see exactly what happened to him, but I'm assuming he probably got spun or something like that. After that, we got Cody Ware, 31st. Dismal day for Kyle Larson, 32nd. Ryan Preece, 33rd, right at the end. And last one on track and lead lap, Ty Gibbs, 34th place finish today. 3 guys did not finish, those being Austin Dillon in 35th, Daniel Suarez in 36th, and in his first ever Cup start, Connor Zilisch, while running almost in the top 10, I will add, though crashes into his teammate Suarez, comes home 37th position on the night. So there's your finishers. We're going to put those on the bottom line now so you can see where your favorite driver finished in this race. And I can also turn this here as well. Should have picked Byron. I should have. That's on me. I should have probably picked just about anyone but Kyle Larson other than Preece, Gibbs, Dillon, Suarez, or Zilisch. So is what it is. You know, you win some, you lose some sometimes. But let's talk about that finish, because I think that finish is the highlight of the race. I see Fox is turning on one of their shows that'll be canceled in like 3 years or less. Let's talk about the finish, though. Let's stay positive on this one. I think this is pretty good to talk about. We will talk about the Cindric deal that was kind of interesting, the first lap that was interesting as well. There's a lot of interesting aspects of this, and this is kind of the first real race, as people like to call it. So let's talk about that. I'm going to go to the second page here of my notes, and this finish was kind of choreographed based on the run before. Before that last caution. There was a long green flag run. They had green flag pit stops. And with that, you had Kyle Busch come in with 27 laps to go. Kyle Busch trying to just get the fresher tires quicker, trying to get out ahead as much as possible, and just hope that it ran to the finish. Other than him, though, his chief competition that's running right with him within a second, pretty much that entire run, Christopher Bell, waits 2 laps, dives down into pit road again, comes out 6.5 seconds behind Kyle Busch. Now, Bell and his team employed that strategy last year. It almost worked for him, just ran out of time for the most part, which was talked about on the broadcast. But he wouldn't need it to run green the rest of the way. Instead, he would end up getting a caution due to the 3 and the 11 spinning, Austin Dillon being stuck in the gravel pit. And from there, we had a 13-lap shootout to the finish. Up in the front row, we have the 8 and the 24. They restart, entering 1. They're pretty even. Busch gets the lead, Bell to second, and the rest of the field kind of gets congested, almost as congested as I am right now behind them. And so it is those two right on top of each other to start out this run. Busch slips up, Bell right on his ass with like 11 to go. It's just Busch, I think in turn 2, just completely missed it. And the 20 car is right there, right behind him. And with that, you saw it was not perfect driving by any means. There was a screw ups by the 20. I think was it 9 to go? I believe somewhere around that. Within 10 to go, Bell gets a hell of a run entering turn 1 right behind the 8. And it's looking like, man, he might actually get into him. He might move him. He might get underneath him. He misses the corner, loses a full second, gets passed momentarily by the 24 of William Byron, who competed up there. And all of a sudden now they start catching him back up. The 20 gets by, and now it's a 3-car race up there. It's the 8, it's the 20, it's the 24. Oh, and don't look now. Here comes Tyler Reddick in 4th, coming up even closer to this battle. We might have 4 cars under a blanket before it's all said and done. With 7 to go, Bell starts applying the pressure again. Very, very just great when it came to the offensive. Kyle Busch had to be put on defensive, which he can do quite well. He is a veteran driver who has been around this long. But at the same time, man, he's better on the offense. And with that, you have Bell making the move, stays with Busch out of 1 into 6. We're 6 to go, I should say. With Byron there, the 8 and the 20 make contact. The 20 gets beside him, but Busch holds him off over and over and over again. But finally, with 5 laps to go, Bell gets beside him out of the corner, gets up into 1, and is just he's off and away for the most part. The 24 and the 45 did apply pressure. It was still a race after that. They just never got the positioning. Busch would fall back. He completely cooked his car doing it. You can tell he gave it his all. He's just going against the best out there. And of course, Bell ends up holding on and getting the victory. So let's see. I'm seeing you guys. Let's see in the chat. Something happened with Brad Keselowski. I can check. Is it on NASCAR Reddit? Okay. It's on Reddit. All right. I'll check it out on here. Oh, wow. Brad Keselowski. I can't get the picture because it's on my phone. Well, maybe I can. I won't share it, but I'll just kind of describe it. Brad Keselowski on sort of like a golf cart stretcher after the race out of the car. I'm going to assume it was pretty warm down there. I heard it was in the mid to high 80s, that he might be dehydrated. I mean, Zachary, let's see, where'd you go here? It says his cool suit failed. If that's the case, he's definitely dehydrated in those cars. This is the thing that's kind of forgotten about the next gen race cars, is that these cars, they're hotter than the ones that Brad raced before, then the Gen 4 COT, Gen 6. So if a cool suit failure happens and it's a pretty warm day like it was in Austin today, that is not good by any means. Sorry, a little sick today. I apologize if I sound nasty. But I don't want to speculate too much just until we know more. The fact that his cool suit did fail, that just really sucks. There's no other way to put it. And I don't want to speculate too much on his condition. They got the best of the best at those tracks, so they'll probably pump him up with fluids, I would assume. And Brad should, I would assume, be all right. Again, don't want to speculate too awful much about it other than that, but hoping for the best for Brad Keselowski. I don't know if Fox came back and covered it or anything, but that was a grueling race. I can pull up the leaderboard again on my end, but with those cautions the way that they were, I mean, they had a lot of really long runs in this race, which I get Brad's probably used to, seeing that he is one of those old time drivers that raced back pre-stages, but he ain't young either. So again, we're wishing the best for Brad Keselowski. I don't want to speculate anything else. It seems like he's dehydrated. We do know the cool suit failed. But I'll say this. I mean, looking at the results of this race, he'll be happy at least with the 17. He's still with that in mind too, just gutted out a 15th place finish today. These are not the greatest tracks for Brad Keselowski. Me and Eric both, Eric got the win pick right on NWP with Christopher Bell, but him and I both picked Brad Keselowski to suck in this race because he's historically not been the greatest at road courses, especially at COTA. And so for him to run that well at a track he's not really all that great at, with everything that happened, hats off to you, Mr. Keselowski. Hell of a run with everything that he had to go through. And let's talk about a bit when it comes to running. And what I mean by that is the new short layout that was run. I think it was a pretty good race, all things considered. I personally think this is the best. Uh, this is probably to me the best COTA race that we've had in the Cup Series since they've come here. I was at the one in 2021, the monsoon race that saw Calamity. That was the name of the day, Calamity for today. But that was the name of the game, like all day there too, for every other reason, but the racing. But I think it was pretty awesome. You know, I really do. I think it looked pretty good, even with the broadcast being the way it was. I know a lot of people aren't crazy about the broadcast. Um, we can talk about that too, especially compared to IndyCar, which the broadcast, yeah, there were a few kinks to roll out, but was pretty freaking awesome. Especially compared to what we have. But even with that, there was plenty of stuff to cover. And Kevin Harvick, to me, remains a shining light when it comes to the analyst role. I really liked what he brought to the table, talking about the different strategies, how it is as a driver, other things like that. We're going to put up a poll, though. Because this technically is the last race at the moment until we know what the future holds when it comes to NASCAR at COTA. It's the last year of the current deal. So should COTA come back in 2026? I think that is a pretty good question. Yes or no? Putting it up right now. I vote yes for sure. For people asking if Brad Keselowski's okay, I know he's been taken to the medical center. Cool suit failure. Don't know much more than that, but he's in good hands. So just want to let anyone know. And if anyone asks in the chat about that, let people know for sure. At least what we know at this point. But as for bringing it back, I mean, I think I think it's earned its place. I think that the COTA has earned its keep on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule, even with the next gen being deficient at these tracks. They got a layout that I think works a lot better. I want to see how it is next year. It seems like every other year we have a crazy COTA race, and then the other ones, we have a chill one. It's like it's like the odd year curse. Joey Logano, everyone talks about like the even year curse or the even year Logano thing. It's like odd years for COTA just end up being just a little more crazy. So I'm all for it, man. All for it. I thought today was a hell of a race. I personally have been a fan since I went to COTA. If they, I'm assuming they'll come back. If they do, I implore you, go. It is a hell of a fun time, and it's everyone can enjoy it, from the go-kart tracks to the racing itself to the amenities all around it. There was stuff to do at all times at Circuit of the Americas. Now, one of the other things that caught people's attention that I want to talk about is Austin Cindric, I believe it was. Was it Cindric that had right rear hooked? Had right rear hooked the 10 of Ty Dillon. I don't really like right rear hooking people in general. I know people hold it differently at like a Charlotte or a Vegas compared to, say, a short track like Martinsville or even Richmond. But right rear hooking somebody heading out into, with the pack behind them, coming out of a corner like that at a road course, I get it's not as bad, but I still don't like it. I still don't like it like that, because to me, I just think that should be a no-no zone in general. So I guess yes or no, do you think Cindric will get penalized? I don't think so personally, just because I think NASCAR judges it differently at road courses and short tracks rather than any other oval. So I don't think he will, but I'm definitely going to be interested to see if NASCAR does address it in any way, even if it's like a fine or anything like that. Again, I don't think they will. But I don't like right rear hooking in general if we don't have to. And we're seeing a multitude of different ways back and forth. Half, maybe not half, but a lot of you guys saying yes, he should be punished or suspended. Some saying no, others saying fine and maybe. So there is kind of that back and forth. It's a real, I think, debate at this point that a lot of people are going to have, and they're going to talk about Like, why is it okay here but not there? I think it'll probably get overshadowed by the finish that we had and by the really, I would say, great racing, all things considered, that we had today. Um, but it is worth talking about. I think it really is worth talking about when it comes to that, because they're definitely NASCAR has shown before some tracks don't get that and some do when it comes to drivers having that kind of stuff happen, especially if it's shown to be intentional, which it clearly was. And I want NASCAR, if they aren't going to do anything, to definitely draw that line and let people know, so that we're not having these conversations over and over again about it. Um, some other stories to talk about here today. We talked about the Chase Elliott comeback, and I think somebody in here has already asked about it. We talked about him coming back up. Where is it at? Before we do that, though, actually, Jake brought up something really big that I wanted to talk about that I really liked. He brings up, did you see NASCAR live stream the race on YouTube? It has steady 45,000 viewers. Yes. So until about 60, maybe 70 laps into the race, give or take, I can't remember. Maybe it's probably closer to 60. NASCAR actually on their YouTube channel had the race live, and it was live. It was not like 5-second delay or anything like that. I have YouTube TV. It was half a lap ahead of my broadcast when I was watching on YouTube TV. I think NASCAR should do more of that. NASCAR on Fox's channel last week, so Fox Sports channel with it. They put all the way up until the first couple laps of the Atlanta race. They put the pre-race for the Daytona 500 up there live at one point, maybe not up to like the green flag, but generally they put a lot of it. So I'll say, I think they should keep being aggressive at this. And I get why they turned it off before the finish. They'll probably direct everyone to Fox. And now they'll definitely have to do it with it going to cable for the next 6 weeks or so, which, by the way, and you can thank NASCAR for this, not Fox and NBC. NASCAR is the one that bent the knee on this one. We get until October to end the season with the last 3 races. Until then, we get 2, count them, 2 races on broadcast television till October. And that is April, Talladega, and then August at Daytona. I had to double check to be sure on this one, unless maybe they changed something. The rest are going to be on Prime streamed, TNT on cable, and USA on cable, and of course, FS1 here. So letting people know, be sure to know what cable channels you have in the coming weeks, what ones you might not. If you know somebody with Prime to stream it, I feel like everybody knows somebody with Prime. Like, I don't personally have it. I have a Fire Stick, but at the same time, Riz has a Prime account. My dad does. So anywhere I go, I'll be fine. But check and see. You don't want to miss any races. I fully understand that. So check and see on that one. But let's go back to talking about some comebacks here. Another one, Alex Bowman, who had a litany of different issues today. He's able to charge a comeback. Doesn't get as high as Elliott, because I don't know if he had as fresh of tires or if he restarted further back from him. But Bowman, a lot of people were kind of wondering, like, man, why didn't you pick Bowman today? You picked Kyle Larson, which dumbass of the day on my part with that pick. Bowman's been really good here, and if I'm not mistaken, I think this is his worst finish. Where's my magazine? I actually have the stats somewhere. I actually have the stats for COTA here. So I can look it up right now. I'm pretty sure that this still keeps an intact streak for him of, top 10 in every race. He has a 4.3 average finish before today. So his average finish will get hit mightily with a 9th place finish today. But Alex Bowman, great value pick, I believe, has finished every single race run at COTA, every single lap, I should say. And now it is only, because I think Ross Chastain finished 12th, so it is only Alex Bowman and Tyler Reddick are the only ones to get a top 5 in all 5 of their COTA starts. So there is that too. But great run for him today, all things considered. There were issues throughout the day with a lot of different drivers. Again, we talked about AJ Allmendinger back there in a 30th place finish, not where he was running for pretty much all but the last 2 laps, give or take. You had Kyle Larson back there, ran pretty well early in the race, but just problems with the tire rolling off, and then everything sort of like avalanched from there. And with that too, you got to look at and see that the next couple weeks he's going to be without his crew chief. Not going to help him either. So for a lot of Larson fans, it might be rough the next couple of weeks, or it might be Kyle Larson and he just runs out there and competes for a win in the next couple of weeks, or wins anyway. We don't know. Spire, pretty good day today. Michael McDowell with an 11th place finish. Carson Hocevar, 13th, ran up there pretty well. The lone, let's see. Oh, and Justin Haley, even after the problems, I was thinking he finished lower. He finished 16th today. I probably could just look on my ticker and see where everybody finished, but where's the fun in that? So good run for Spire, all things considered, between 11th and 16th for all of their finishers today. Top 20 for all of the 2311 cars. The Trackhouse cars today, those are the ones that I think disappointed. They were bad fast, very fast. But that spin by Suarez and then Zilisch plowing into him takes out half the fleet immediately. After that, you got SVG, who does come back a little bit too. Just didn't have the car today that he usually has, at least we've seen him have at the road courses. Still a 6th place finish. It's not like he finished terrible, but for SVG standards, like, these are the must-win races. Like, this is how he's going to make the playoffs in any way. Ross Chastain with the 12th place run kind of got squirreled up there in that little middle pack from like 7th on back. Ran top 10 to the last couple laps though. But all considered though, I thought a pretty fun race all in all. You know, there were some other highlights through the day. I think that we could talk about. We'll talk about the stage flipping and points being earned by some of these guys that might not have ran very well today. Like Bubba Wallace finished 20th position today, but won the first stage. There's a playoff point right there for him. 10 more points. Joey Logano, you know, I'm looking through the finishing order, finishes 24th. You'll see him right here. Finishes 24th position today, but 9 stage points in the first stage. Then SVG, Busch, Elliott, Reddick, Larson, Suarez, Byron, and Allmendinger. You look at the other one. I mean, struggles today for Priest, but he got a stage win. Blaney also gets some good points, second in the second stage. McDowell, Busch, Van Gisbergen, AJ Allmendinger, Byron, Bubba Wallace, some more points there for him, Bell and Suarez. So some pretty important points for a lot of guys that are, at least we're assuming, going to be on that cut line. You know, McDowell's another one who just a good point stay. I know people don't use that phrase as much anymore. It's not a fun phrase for people to use, but he's just been knocking off good point stays. You know, 8 stage points there, add in an 11th place finish. That's some pretty good points for the 71 team in total. You know, the majority of the day though, it was SVG in the first bit, Kyle Busch at the end, and Christopher Bell at the very end of this race. You know, we saw different strategies run as well, which is more akin to what we used to see at road courses, whether it was the pitting in the last 40 or so laps. McDowell pit before everybody else, tried to run up through the pack. You saw the difference of Busch and Bell's strategy we talked about earlier. I'll say this. This is the first COTA race that I feel like I'm watching a traditional NASCAR road course race, which I'm cool with. I like those. That's why I wanted more road courses on the schedule. I thought the racing was a lot better. I thought the strategy was a lot better. I thought that the urgency was a lot better. I think that this layout, for the questions that I think everybody else had for it, I think did deliver a better show, all things considered. On the other end here, by the way, 93% of you, if the votes are going crazy here. We're at the poll here. 93% of you want to bring COTA back next year. I'm with y'all. I'm definitely with y'all. I want COTA back because I think that it brings a hell of a great show to both Xfinity and Cup. I'd love if the trucks could come back on this layout. I think this layout, they wouldn't get as spread out either. Probably would have a lot more crashes though, which might not be that great. But we got Lime Rock too. So that's, again, it's not the end of the world by any means. I have so much crap on this desk. It's all stuff to like make me not sound like a Squidward. I'm Squidward. But yeah, I got a lot of energy. built up from that because it was really good. And I think that overall the racing this season has opened up pretty good. Um, I think Bowman Gray was better than a lot of people expected. I think the Daytona 500 was better than a lot of people said it was, even though it wasn't great. Atlanta with this car and the configuration they have has been really good and solid at worst every race they've had. And then you have this race, which I thought delivered in a lot of those different levels as well. So it's hard for me to complain so much this season about the racing. When we can talk about the racing, it's really fun to talk about NASCAR right now. And I can't wait this Wednesday on Eric's channel to talk about it on NWP, because I think that it will be a ton of fun to talk about. He was there today, and I have to imagine it was even better in person being there. So, yeah, I overall, I'd still probably give it, I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9 out of 10 today. I think that that's the best way to kind of grade it. I think that's the most accurate grading for this race. And the finish was awesome. The finish to me, I might have said 8 earlier about the full race, and now 9. The more I think about it, the more fun I have, which to me is very good at showing a good race or not. So, but I've seen a lot of other people. Yeah, leave Texas alone. What did you say about Texas? Let's see. Yeah, of course we do have Phoenix next week. I said 7. No, I said 7 for the full. I thought I said 7 for the full race, and then the finish being an 8. But yeah, I do agree with this. Leave politics out of NASCAR. I don't care what side. People can, whoever wants to come to a race can come to a race. I just don't want to hear what you have to say. Basically, like, everyone just sit down, shut up, enjoy the race. I'm with that. All I'm going to say about it. And I agree. I do think Rockingham and Cup will be good, especially when this surface starts to wear down. I think it'll be a hell of a fun race to have. I think it's going to be great this Easter with the Xfinity and trucks. Can I say that Texas Motor Speedway is dumb? Yes. Yeah, sure. All right. Let's talk about some of the super chats that a lot of people have been sending on in. I want to be fair to everybody. And a lot of these guys have been waiting. So Bobby Blair sent 2 of them in, 1 for 5, 1 for 2, saying that was the best COTA race so far. Bring COTA back next year. That was a hell of a race. I'm with you. Definitely with you. Bring it back. Bring it back. And also says, this is fun. We're having fun. Yes. My voice might not be, but we are having fun. SW here says, first 5 laps at COTA, chaos. Yeah, I mean, it was pandemonium. It was nuts. It was guys diving into the corner. I believe it was Ross Chastain dove in from 9th, thinking he could take the lead right away. Just dumb move, but I love Ross, and Ross makes it interesting. Not a great move. And luckily, Elliott did come back, and I think finished, 8 spots higher than Ross Chastain today. So it's not like it completely ruined Elliott's day. If anything, it might have helped him. We don't know. Races play out differently, all that, hypotheticals, blah, blah, blah. Jonathan with the 2. 30 laps of great racing doesn't make up for boring. I don't think it was boring today, personally. I think that the last 30 laps were awesome. Yes, I think the racing before that was still pretty decent. I get that might not be the way that a lot of people would maybe like it to be at all times, but I still think it was pretty good. But hey, we're all entitled to our opinion. The Polish hardware store, or the Polish hardware store, whichever way you want to go about it, for 2. Will Cindric get suspended? I don't think so. But it's interesting to see that delineation of right rear hooking. Liam for the 5 says, my mom is a huge Seabell fan. She has been over the moon the last 2 weeks. I'm a Suarez fan and my life has been pain. But hey, you know what? At least your mom's happy, But yeah, it's got to be pretty rough being a Suarez fan right now. I can't lie to you, man. Reverend Regime Hall Stewart, good to see you, man, for the 2. Which driver will get at least 50 career wins? Kyle Larson, I think, will. Byron has put up pretty good pace since he started winning, consistently at least. It's tough because a lot of these guys coming up don't have as many wins. and I don't have the win list necessarily on me. Joey Logano definitely will. Definitely Logano, I would say. He's just like, he's been around forever, and he's still like, I think in his mid or, well, how old is? I could probably look at the chat, but he's what, 34? Going to be 35 this year. So like Logano, definitely I think can still. He's somebody I think could race for a long time. Let's see. Bobby for another 5 here says a banger NASCAR race and a banger IndyCar race. It's a great day. It's a great day to be a racing fan. Definitely. An IndyCar definitely had a pretty good broadcast, pretty good racing. So I think we're all going to be happy today. Hoosier Films for the 2 says Seabell W. I think old Hoosier there is happy. Daniel with the 2 says Cena turned heel before Kyle Busch wins a race. Is this going to be like our GTA 6 meme? Like, this happened before Kyle Busch wins a race. Derek here with the 5 says this is the second race in a row where Suarez wrecked himself. Tough to see, especially since he has such a great car. Yeah, I don't know what was going on there. He just lost it. Jonathan with the 2, what happened to the limits that disappeared? I know the track limits thing is always confusing at this race in particular. I don't know. I don't know like where NASCAR was really going with all that. It seemed like sometimes they were enforcing it, other times they weren't. I am very much, as long as they're not kind of going too crazy with it, that the less rules, the better, or the more leeway, the better. So I hope it's more defined next time, because it seemed like none of the drivers knew either. So I think that's a NASCAR issue there. Cy Supersonic with the 1191. Kyle Busch fan. But Bell is one of the few drivers I'm okay with beating Kyle. Proud of Busch. He ran the best race he could. Happy for Bell. He won fair, square, and most important, cleanly. Yeah, I think that's what Mike Joy brought up, and Boyer and Harvick also kind of added to, is clean run finish, which you got to respect them for, because they could have all just run over each other and been complete doorknobs to each other, and they weren't. It was a clean race, and I think that's what made it even more fun to watch. It was very much a chess match, a lot of people would like to call it. So I really like that. Dan Miller for the 2, Bell cut 4. I feel like I thought that too at one point, or at least I saw it, and they didn't say anything. Maybe that's just NASCAR bending it so that they can have their entertaining finish. But I saw so many people cutting the corners that like they were supposedly going to be gunning to get people on, and nothing ever got called. So again, in the way we were asking, like, what the hell was a caution last week, we're kind of like asking, like, what the hell are the track limits this week? Again, I'm the less rules, if we don't need them, the better to me. Steven for the 5 says Cindric intentionally wrecking the 10 makes him a hypocrite after complaining last week. Here comes the sirens. I'm not that sick. You can keep going. Yeah, I it's not a good look at all. I don't like right rear hooking in general. I like taking a hardline stance on that, regardless of where we're at, especially when it turns somebody into the field too. Not really a fan of what Mr. Cindric did. JC, what's up for the 5? Did a NASCAR rivals video yesterday at COTA with Bell because he almost won last year, and well, he won this year. So maybe you're like the lucky charm. Bailey with the 2 here says Briscoe should have had a top 7 damn late restart. I know. I wish that caution didn't happen. A lot of people were talking about, like, oh, Denny Hamlin intentionally crashed the 3. But another view I think that Eric brought up on Twitter showed that he had gotten to the dirt a little bit, lost grip, and slid into him. So I think that's more what happened than anything. But maybe we need to pull up some of the data to see. Just saying. Let's see. That's it. Gunfer for the 10 says, correct me if I'm wrong, but Fox didn't even show a replay of Denny Hamlin and Michael McDowell's incident on lap 1 that tore off Denny's right fender. Kind of a big incident for Fox to miss. Yes, I did see the replay, and I think that Ty Gibbs actually got on him, and Ty Gibbs' car actually like kind of bowed up and got in the air again. if I'm not mistaken. I saw it in the chat at one point that happened. On top of him getting into McDowell and on top of that stack up. Yeah, Fox missed a lot. You can tell they put all their eggs in the IndyCar basket. And once the Daytona 500's done, it's just sort of waiting it out for them, which Hunter with the 2. Thank you for that. I'm sure you're pretty happy with the comeback from Elliott. You probably weren't happy on lap 1 during that incident, but you're probably pretty happy now. And then another one, did anyone else see that that the Fox car tracker was off a good bit today, or was it only me? No, it wasn't only you. It was off. A lot of it's off. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty fun race. A little different show, partially just because I want to save my voice a little bit. Partially just because it's a different race, and I want to talk about the big talking points. I think this is a very much a big talking point kind of race. But all things considered, I think this is the best COTA race we've had and in NASCAR. I have not watched every COTA race, but I'd bet it's probably up there. Still room for improvement, definitely. But I think that there's a lot of stuff to take away from this that was really good. Again, we're hoping for the best for Brad Keselowski. For those who are coming in late, had a cool suit issue. It stopped working during the race. Pretty hot day out in Austin, Texas, all things considered. Grueling race. Long race. This race was well over 3 hours long. Had to be taken to the infield medical center, and I think on a stretcher at one point, just dehydration and overheating and everything like that. So we're hoping the best for Brad. But had a ton of fun today. Thank you guys so much for coming out. It means a ton. And lost power steering. Damn. Hey, he finished 15th. Like that's a win. That's a win, man. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming out. We'll be live next week after the Xfinity and Cup races at Phoenix. Knock on wood, that's good. But until then, see you this week on NWP on Eric Estep's channel. See you through the week on videos on here. And see you on Friday for some more commentary. We're doing a e-ticket on IDK Player YouTube channel at Lamar. It's going to be a lot of fun. Busy week, fun week. Can't wait to see you there for all of it. Thank you guys so much for coming in, and have a great night. Later.